Welcome back to another episode of Raul's World of Synths. I am Raul. In the last demonstration, we did the kind of starting point for the A166 patch from the manual. Let me throw that up on the screen just so you can kind of see where we were last time. We had kind of put together, let's see, the A166 over here in our front panel. If you look at the patch again, we had kind of set up the top section of the A166 and the bottom section of the A166. So if you missed that or if you want to review that, just jump back one video in this series. They should be together in a playlist out there on YouTube. In this one, we're going to kind of go and take that to the next level and just kind of add a small bass line and then kind of play around with that and maybe do a little bit of variation. So let me patch the drums back in. So here we go. And if you were watching the last one, this little drum beat will sound very familiar to you. And so now what we need to do is get our bass line going. Over at our A155, that is waiting in the wings, so to speak, I have it set up so we're taking the CV outputs from these two rows right here and going into the switch. So we're going to be taking those out from here and then going over into our quantizer right here, quantizer out right there, over into our VCO right there, and then output from the VCO, I think that's all the way in, over into our VCA. And then to shape our VCA, we have an envelope kind of waiting right there. So let me get that patched. And then we'll patch. Well, I think we'll get sound as soon as we do that. Let's try it. Yeah, now we have some sound. Now, if I wanted to vary this up a little bit, if I didn't mention it before, I also have the two rows of triggers here going into the bottom switch over here. And that's what's actually triggering on the other side, our envelope generator. So if I wanted to change that pattern a little bit, I could just switch some of these triggers. And I think I got some pretty good effects when I brought up the level of the VCA earlier. So let me just switch some of these up. Try adjusting my VCA a little bit. Let me actually just stick with it right there. And now if I wanted to kind of change the pattern up a little bit, I could do a lot of different things. So I could take maybe a different output of, let's see, instead of 5, I could take maybe the 4. And you can hear the bass drum is changing. Or go to the 5 again. Or I still have one sound that I have not used yet over here, the snare drum. So let me see if I can pick one of these triggers, maybe like let's try the 4 right there. Or maybe the 6. 8. Or I could maybe try maybe the 16th division of the clock. And the idea here is that you can now change the rhythm of your pattern by either using the outputs or the inputs. And you can do that very quickly. So this right here is giving you a great deal of flexibility rhythmically, not only for experimentation, but if you want to go in and sort of pre-plan some of this too, you know, you can work out the divisions for whatever pattern or whatever time signature that you're working in. Now, if I wanted to add maybe a little bit more meat to my bass line, I could take maybe a different waveform, maybe the saw. Or if I wanted to maybe get it a little more full, I could maybe take the sine as well, pipe it into my VCA2. Just add a little bit of that. I mean, the possibilities go on and on and on and on and on. I mean, if I wanted to, I could maybe do maybe even a little phase lock loop going in as well. Let's see. Actually, I want to go here. Maybe take that out. Not sure how this is going to sound. Change up the settings a little. Let's hear that by itself. And that's just one more element that you can use to kind of touch up your patch. So lots and lots of fun. Now, I chose the example from the Doepfer manual because it'll be fairly easy to reproduce. You know, you just go look it up in the manual and then kind of see if you can patch it back up. Maybe use this video as sort of a part reference, so that way you can kind of see, okay, well, I got it in the neighborhood. But the real idea behind this is that you can now use pretty much any kind of inputs that you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be a clock input. It can be a trigger output. I mean, for that matter, it could even be random gates, or it could be a manual gate. You know, anything that generates a sort of trigger or a pulse in low frequencies can be used and then sort of processed through here to get different outputs via the OR, XOR, and AND. So in a nutshell, that's going to wrap up this demonstration. Hopefully you found this useful and it shed a little bit of light into the possibilities. There are probably millions and millions of things that you could do differently with this module, but it just kind of opens the door to some possibilities rhythmically that maybe you hadn't explored yet. I know ever since I started sort of getting more into this, I've kind of learned quite a bit from it. So that's going to actually wrap up the series. I hope you found this series as a whole useful. Please leave any feedback or comments that you have on this video or any of the previous videos in the series on the website of each respective video. If you have any suggestions for future demos, please leave those on the channel as well, or send me a message via the YouTube channel. I'm not sure what we're going to do in the next video demonstration, but hopefully it'll be something fun. Also, didn't want to leave without sort of throwing this in there. If you haven't checked it out before, if you're not aware, I do have another YouTube channel called Modular Wild. I do encourage you to check that out if you get a chance. That's a whole separate set of different types of videos, whereas Raul's World of Synths is sort of mostly Doepfer modules. In Modular, we sort of explore the other side of Eurorack. So hopefully you had a great time today, because I did as well. We'll see you next time, and keep on patching out there.